What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fandom Talk. Today we're talking about Avengers Endgame Theories. We're talking about what's going on at the DCEU with Zack Snyder and Ezra Miller, the Fox-Disney merger, of course, and we're also talking about Dark Phoenix and New Mutants. So take a listen and let us know what you think in the comments.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? We are back. It's been about a year, maybe a little shorter than that. Who knows? Who's counting? But the Fandom Talk crew is back. We got some new, fresh meat in the Fandom Talk group, man. We are here to talk about some of the greatest topics going on right now in the media. I know you guys missed us. It's been a while, but I always got to do that restructuring, regrouping, just making things better each and every day to continue to give you guys that consistent quality content that Fandom Anonymous brings to you each and every week. Let's go ahead and introduce the panelists, man. We're glad you guys joined us today. First up, I got my man Kevin Garland and the OG Kev. What's going on, Kev?
What's happening, baby? Happy to be back in the saddle. Let's do this.
All right, man. And new, fresh meat to the group. My man Alex Hampton from Momentum Media. What's going on, Alex?
What's up, Malcolm? How's everybody doing? I'm glad to be here. And by the way, fresh meat is a bad term. I am not in jail. Okay. But, you know, I'm here. We about to get it popping. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it, man. We are going to talk about some great topics, some things that are going on right now. No, we're not going to talk about R. Kelly. No, we're not going to talk about Justice Smollett. We're not going to talk about those things. We're about to hit you guys with some fresh stuff. But let's go ahead and get into our topics for the day, man. First up, we're talking about Zack Snyder and his Justice League cut. Now, this is something that happens each and every single time a movie gets ready to come out from the DC universe. There's always ends up, Zack Snyder always comes out saying that there was some type of special cut. I'm going to start first with the new guy. What's going on, Alex? Let me know what you feel about this Zack Snyder cut.
So, you know, for me, I feel like this particular news is kind of pointless given the fact that, you know, Justice League came out, like 2 years ago, something of that nature. And don't get me wrong, I think Zack Snyder was a great director for Man of Steel. Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Cut, is actually good, not the theatrical cut. But this news, I just feel like and I don't want to say like he's trying to make himself relevant, but at the same time, I feel as though that he's trying to get his name out in the spotlight. And, you know, I reported on this on my show, and I was just like, yo, like, honestly, I don't really feel the need to hear about this because it's not like we're going to see it. It's like Warner Brothers is not going to spend an additional $50 to $7 million to get all the actors back and to do his version of this movie. So that for him to continuously talk about or tease his cut of the Justice League, I'm sorry, to me, it's old news, and you're just getting like people like comicbook.com and other fanboys all rowdy for something that's never going to happen. He did mention about a script that he made with Chris Terrio that he made while doing BVS, but at the same time, you know, that script did sound interesting, but I didn't think it was interesting enough for a live-action movie, especially, and to not introducing the Justice League for the first time. So, for me personally, I think Zack Snyder needs to sit down, go direct something else, you know, or go do something independent or look at a different franchise. You know, I've always said that if Zack Snyder is going to be a part of a film of any kind, I think he needs to be a producer, not a director. He's good visually, but telling a story, I don't think it really is his strong suit. So that's just me.
Now, Kevin, one thing that Alex said, I'm going to let you get to your thoughts. One thing that Alex said hit me for a second. He said that maybe Zack Snyder needs to go direct something else. What would you want him to direct? And go ahead and give us your thoughts on this whole Justice League cut.
Okay, well, first and foremost, Justice League is dead. We know that film did not turn out the way that anybody had envisioned it because of what the studio made Joss Whedon do. Now, let's go back for a second. We know that the vision that Zack Snyder had for this film was not one that people necessarily wanted. The film was written and was in production before BVS came out. Once the studio realized that fans weren't digging it, they wanted to change stuff midway. That's always a bad sign for a film that has steam and that's in production, that's rolling. Second thing is you bring Josh Whedon in and you tell Josh Whedon, hey, even with credits, this movie can't be over 2 hours. And the reason being is because they want to turn the theater over as many times. The minute you start going over 2 hours, you have less showings per day. So when you take those two creatives and put them in a box like that, Zack Snyder limiting what he can do and then Josh Whedon limiting what he can do, you get Justice League. Now, I said this to Malcolm, and I've been saying this for years. When you get Zack Snyder, the movies are going to be dark. It's going to have a more serious tone. It's going to be, kind of violent. I said from the jump, Zack Snyder's not the guy I want touching Superman. He's the guy I want to direct Wolverine. Or he's the guy I want to make a Lobo movie. I want him to be able to use his talents to the best of his ability. If you have a friend that's good at baking cakes, you don't ask him to make lasagna. You tell him to bring a cake to the party. So that's my thoughts on Zack Snyder.
And that friend just happens to be me because I'm good at baking cakes. Anyway.
Yes, sir, you are.
But to me, it's like, Zach, you know how back in the day your mama used to tell you, you was doing a little bit too much. Go on, sit down now. Go in your room. Go sit down. You get out of my face. You know how they used to do it back in the day.
Right.
Because he's not connected to a company right now, there's nobody to tell him to go somewhere and sit down. He's just Zack Snyder out doing what he wants to do and saying what he wants to say. And there's nobody to really rein him back in because he's just kind of out there. So normally in a situation like this, movie executives and people come to him and be like, hey, we need you to take back that statement that you made. We need you to go ahead and say something in regards to what you said and how we need to kind of mush that down and get rid of it. We'll come back to it later. But because he's not connected to anybody, Warner Brothers can't tell him what to do. So he's really kind of out there just doing and saying whatever. And I think that's what the issue is going on right now. Since we're here, before we get to our next topic, and this is the return of Fandom Talk, I want everybody to be able to plug themselves. So, Alex, briefly, I want you to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and what are your plans and hopes and dreams for this adventure that we're about to embark on with the new wave of Fandom Talk.
So, my name is Alex, like Malcolm said, and I have a YouTube channel called Momentum Media, where we discuss, movie news, TV news, everything that's going in pop culture. I have 3 shows on my channel called Ask Alex, where I get questions from my subscribers/followers, and I answer them in regards to what's going on in Hollywood. On my channel, I also interview celebrities on my channel as well. I got a new interview coming out with Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And you can follow me on multiple social medias, like my Facebook at Momentum Media. You can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Alex Hampton. And you can follow me on Twitter on Mr. Alex Hampton as well. And what I am willing to do on Momentum Media, kind of like what I do on my other show, Hero TV, where I talk about just superheroes, just to really dive down into our thoughts about certain things that are going on in these different superhero movies / TV shows, really start a dope dialogue and hopefully start a movement.
Most definitely. We appreciate you being here, man. We really do. We really, really do. Before we jump off into some other topics, I want to bring up Ezra Miller and the Flash. Now, there's been some more recent reports that have come out about this whole situation. And apparently, as of right now, it's reported, not factual. You guys know we only bring the facts here. It's reported that Ezra Miller is about to leave the Flash. There's another thing going on with the DCEU. This company gives me faith and hope, and then they do stuff like this, and I lose all that faith and hope all over again. I was sitting on a high with Aquaman. I was like, oh yeah, they doing something. They own and popping, and then stuff like this comes out. Now this week, Shazam comes out. I might feel good about DC again, and then something else might come out again and throw it all off. This is bad. And I'm gonna tell you why this is bad, because this is a movie that's trying to come together. This is a company that's trying to find their way, and they got good stuff coming out. Like apparently everybody's loving Shazam. Everybody's loving Shazam. No, not seeing too many people talk about it. It was certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and stuff like this comes out, and it just puts a damper on them collectively. Now, I'm going to start with you, Alex, because I know my man Kevin, he got his bottle of water. I know he's about to go in on this Ezra Miller Flash. So I'm going to start with Alex. What are your thoughts on Ezra Miller and this whole Flash issue?
Okay, so let's because I know this is a show about facts. Let's backtrack just a little bit, okay? So recently, well, not recently, about a week, yes, recently, about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, it was reported that Ezra Miller was going to write The Flash along with the screenwriters of the movie. According to reports, he wanted to make The Flash a little bit darker, and this could be the potential reason why, one of the reasons amongst the other reasons why this movie has not been made. Keep in mind, this movie has had multiple directors attached to this project and left for whatever reasons. Most of those reasons, according to reports, are creative differences, and we all know that's a bunch of bull. Okay, so here's the thing: the reason why, and again, I'm just going by what's reported. The reason why Ezra Miller might be done with The Flash is because after he did Justice League, he was supposed to do a Flash movie / Flashpoint movie, whatever. He had, I think his contract was supposed to end at some point after he did the Flash movie. But since the Flash movie never got made, there's a clause in his contract where if he doesn't make any Flash movies in a certain amount of years, that Warner Brothers can drop him by their fault, or they can re-up with him, right? So Ezra Miller, he's and you can look this stuff on YouTube. Ezra Miller has been making slight hints about the movie and saying, he's not really all that excited about a movie. And now that I've given those facts, here's my take on this. Personally, I thought Ezra Miller's Flash in the Justice League movie was actually kind of cool to see. I like Grant Gustin's version of the Flash on TV better. I think they should just leave him as the Flash. But anyway, I think that him being done with the Flash really doesn't necessarily hurt DC for these reasons. Granted, yeah, we were supposed to get a Flash movie, but they've been fumbling the ball with every director, every screenwriter. They've had to recast people. They've been funneling the ball to the point where after the third time I just accepted that we're not getting a Flash movie anytime soon, I'll watch the Flash TV show. The reason why I honestly believe it's not hurting the Warner Brothers is because it's kind of like you said. To a degree, they have a high off of Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and arguably Man of Steel. And now, Shazam had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know if it's still 100% now, but about 2 weeks ago it was 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. They are trying to lay the groundwork. Now, as you guys know, DC is probably recasting Superman. We know they're recasting Batman. And it wouldn't behoove me if they were to do a Flash movie where they reset everything and recast everybody else. Honestly, I don't really think, fans are going to be up in arms about this particular project not happening. But at the same time, it does make DC look bad to a degree, saying that they can't even establish a simple movie. First of all, I had beef with Ezra Miller trying to make Flash a dark character because inherently he's not a dark character. I put Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne in the same boat. They essentially both lost their parents. Bruce Wayne went dark. Barry Allen turned light. He took that situation and made the best out of it. So did Bruce, but we all know Bruce is basically a brooding badass in a sense. So Ezra Miller as the Flash, you try to make him a dark character. He's never been dark. Read any comic book about the Flash from when he was created up until the New 52 run. There's no issue of him being dark. Read any iteration of an animated movie or cartoon series. Never been dark. Even the current TV series that's on the CW. There are dark moments, but he's not a dark character. So I thought the way they were even going about this so-called rewrite was stupid in the begin with. So I think personally, him not being the Flash is not going to necessarily hurt DC / Warner Brothers. I do think they should focus on Shazam and then possibly focus on the next movie that hopefully is not Birds of Prey, but something else better than that. and try to restructure DC Universe. Keep in mind, Ezra Miller's only really played the Flash twice. Do you really think that the fans are really going to care that much? You know, we saw him in BVS for like that split second, and then that was it. And then we saw him in Justice League. If someone were to say to me, if we were to read a report tomorrow, hey, he's done playing the Flash, I'm cool because I got the Flash TV show. So that's where I'm at with that.
And I got to really take a note of what you just said there, because I feel the same way. The Flash TV show does it for me for anything in regards to the Flash. You're right. I don't need Ezra Miller. First of all, I didn't like the fact that he ran like a freshman cross country runner. Okay, that's one thing I didn't agree with. But now I'm not gonna take his thunder because my man Kevin Garza, we always talk every day about this stuff. That's why I'm glad Fandom Talk was back. But he said something real key, and I know he knows what I'm talking about the other day about Ezra Miller. That's his name. He said something real key about Ezra. Kev, go ahead and let us know your thoughts about this.
You talking about the Warner Brothers thing with him?
That's right.
Okay, so to talk about Ezra Miller's contract, there's one piece that my man Alex, you knocked it out of the park. There's two things I want to add to what you were saying. Number one, he brought in Grant Morrison to take the script that was already there, and he wants to make it a darker film. Now, I'm not necessarily sure what darker film means. I don't know if he means a darker Barry Allen or just a darker subject matter, period. But either way, I agree with you. That character shouldn't be there in the darkness like that. That's not what these movies should be for him as a character. You're exactly right. Him and Bruce Wayne kind of share that origin story that a lot of people share where their parents get killed in the comics or whatever. And I think Batman is one of those whose darkness has been embraced by the fans. And those same fans will pick up a Flash comic book for the exact opposite reason, right? So I agree with you there.
Right.
The thing that you have to look at with Ezra Miller is there's something else about Warner Brothers that nobody's talking about. Ezra Miller is Credence in the new Harry Potter movies. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And at the end of that last movie, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it by now, oh well, I'm getting ready to tell you. At the end of that movie, he could be Dumbledore's long-lost brother. So the thing about this is the only reason I think Warner Brothers was even entertaining this whole him rewriting the script and everything is because he's a star in one of their biggest franchises on the other side of the game over there. So with that brought him some star power. And I'll tell you why we know this and they have a history of that. Because they let Ben Affleck try to do a Batman script, right? So they'll give you, if you're a star, you know, because Affleck has directed a couple of pictures over there. Oh, and by the way, the one he won the Oscar for was a Warner Brothers movie. So they'll give you some leeway to try to see if they can, you know, let you breathe a little bit and say, okay, well, you don't like it, we'll turn something in and we'll see what we can do or whatever. Knowing full on well at the end of the day they're going to do what they need to do. I agree with y'all wholeheartedly that nobody is beholden to Ezra Miller as the Flash. He's been the Flash in movies 3 times. So it was BVS, Suicide Squad, and Justice League. And the thing is, his screen time for those 3 pictures, it's not even worth talking about, right? So I told Malcolm, if I was going to cut ties with one of these characters or any of these characters and recast, this is the time you do it. Justice League was a flop, universally panned, and you move forward with the good parts. Now, I do think Ezra Miller was well regarded from the Justice League movie. I think people liked his character or whatnot, but the universe can live on. And see, the more that they change things and do these new movies, see, Shazam, whether people want to admit it or not, that's their Superman now. That's their guy. Shazam's power set is a mirror of Superman, pretty much, right? Pretty much. So now they have that person that can fly in the screen and do that. Oh, and he can do it with some comedy, too. So, yes, they're going to recast Superman at a certain point, but they don't have to do it right now because they kind of got one. So if I was going to recast, I would do it exactly right now. But I definitely agree with you guys. I don't watch The Flash on CW anymore. However, if you look at how popular the show is and kind of what's going on right now, they can hold up on Flash. They really can. But I want to say this, and then we can move on to the next topic if Malcolm so chooses. I think the ball is rolling for DC now because Justice League is in our rearview mirror. And if you really notice, Zack Snyder is the only person talking about it. Warner Brothers isn't talking about movies. They're not trying to connect all this stuff right now. They're just trying to get butts and seats and give you a quality product. So whether we like it or not, Suicide Squad was a hit financially. You have Wonder Woman. Aquaman just put up more money than any DC character ever has, even The Dark Knight. So they're on a roll. So now you got Shazam getting ready to drop. Like you said, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody's in love with it. You're going to get the Joker movie coming this fall, which may or may not be good. And then you're going to come back around Wonder Woman 4. You know, so they got a lot going on, and it's not even worth holding up all that whole thing for Ezra Miller. Like, get him out of there.
Yeah, I for one feel like he needs to go. And I still feel like it's because I didn't like the fact how he runs. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. Let's talk about the big thing that's on everybody's mind right now that'll segue us into the next realm. But I want my man Kevin Garland to jump on in and plug yourself, man. Let everybody know who you are. Most people who watch the Fandom Talk show know who you are, but we're gonna have some new heat and some new listeners, man. So let everybody know about Kevin Garland.
Hey, man, look, I am just a comic book fan from long time ago. I'm still an avid comic book reader, and I'm a photographer. So everybody can come see my work at Hupster Pics on IG and on Facebook. I've slowed down a lot because I've been working a whole lot, but I'm working on a whole new relaunch. So I have a website and all that coming soon where I can show you kind of what I've been up to here recently. But, yeah, just come check out my pictures. I do a lot of cosplay photos and stuff like that. So just come check me out. But I'm happy to be here and ready to talk. Let's do this.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and get into it. The Fox-Disney merger. I'm going to let my man Kevin go ahead and start on this.
Okay, so this is what we all been waiting for. And I know we're missing one of our guys tonight that has a stark contrast and viewpoint to how I feel about this. But I wish he was here. But anyway, I'm cool with this merger. I'm glad it happened. And this is the only reason why. If Fox was doing a good job with the property they had over there, then I maybe would be against this. But you have to understand something. We are all comic book fans, and we want to see these characters shine in the best light. I don't care whose logo flashes before the movie starts as long as the movie's good. And unequivocally, I cannot sit here and tell you that Fox has done a great job with their X-Men franchise or the Fantastic Four. If you really look at it, and this is my honest to God opinion, Fox had the better part of the Marvel universe when it comes to the cinematic universe that they could have had versus what characters Marvel had starting theirs off. You know, and you look at it, and it's just like we are 23 movies deep into the MCU, and we're using B and C squad characters that nobody knows, and we love them for that, right? But then when you look at Fox, and they got the X-Men, and they got so many people. Like, I mean, you got the X-Men, and then you got all the villains that goes along with that. You got the Fantastic Four, and when they put Galactus on the screen, Jesus, he was a cloud. Like, Galactus was a cloud, not even the huge purple guy that we like, right? So I'm like this. If you're not going to use those characters and not going to do anything with them, then bring them on home. And there's always going to be a difference between Marvel and everybody else, and I'll tell you why. Marvel, I know it's under Disney umbrella, so I don't want to forget that, but they are a comic book company that is making comic book movies, right? Everybody else is a film studio that's just trying to make movies, and there's a difference. Because all those film studios like Sony and Warner Bros. And all of them, they have other projects they're working on. Kevin Feige and Marvel are just working on Marvel stuff, and they can focus 100% on that, and that's where their money goes, blah, 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 blah. So with that being said, I want my characters and the people I grew up reading about and dreaming about to be in a place where they can be used as best as possible. So I'm happy about the merger. I know there's some other viewpoints saying that, hey, if we let one company own everything, they're going to control it all or whatever. But my point is this. I would much rather see what Kevin Feige is going to do with Apocalypse as opposed to what Bryan Singer did in that abomination of a movie. So with that being said, I'll pass it on to somebody else.
Now, the one thing about that Apocalypse movie was the first 15 minutes of that movie was the best. If the movie continued like that, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
Absolutely.
We would.
Fire.
My man, Alex, before I let Alex go, for me, I've been joyous about this for the longest, and for the same reasons that Kevin said. If we were getting fire movies from Fox in the first place, we would not have been arguing for a change of arm. We wouldn't. We really would not have. We've been still going to see these movies content, having nothing to complain about. But we were not getting a quality product. That's like you go on a Subway and you get a sandwich, and you ask for what you want on it. You ask for the mustard and the mayonnaise to be on the bottom part of the bread. You get home, and it's not like you want it. And you go back again, and then mess your sandwich up again, and again, and again, and again. After a while, you say, you know what? I'm going to start going to Publix and getting my sandwiches, because apparently y'all can't get it right. Publix has some good sandwiches. And we want a good sandwich. That's all we want. But I'm going to let Alex take it over, man. I had to get my sandwich reference in there, man.
Got to. Got a good sandwich reference.
Okay, go ahead, Alex. Let me know.
So I partially agree with y'all, what y'all both said, okay? Because you guys are, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but you guys are telling the truth in a certain aspect. But you have to keep in mind, Disney absorbed all of Fox, so that means Planet of the Apes, Aliens, every single property that they did at Fox in regards to their movies, not just the X-Men. Now, personally, I agree with Kevin when he said, to a degree, Fox had the better characters. I mean, you look at, like, Cyclops' run on comic books, they could have told an amazing story with these different X-Men characters. Now, here's what I will say. The bad X-Men films that I have seen from Fox, and just the bad ones, are X-Men 3, Wolverine Origins, the sequel to the Wolverine Origins. What was the other one? Apocalypse, Rise of Apocalypse, or Fall of Apocalypse, something like that. So my favorite X-Men movies, to be honest with you, are Days of Future Past, Logan. I like X-Men First Class, X1, and X2. I think out of everything I just named, to a degree, they're on an even playing field. Now, you have to keep in mind, there are fans who love the X-Men the way they are. Now, I am not a huge fan of what they did in the latest movie with Apocalypse. Oh, and also, let me name Deadpool 1 and 2, because those are X-Men films as well. So I think that they had a universe, that's a better word, a universe where it didn't necessarily connect to a degree, but each fan understood what they were getting into when they went into an X-Men movie. So personally, I think they did somewhat of a good job managing their characters, aside from, like Warner Brothers managing their DC characters, but that's another story. So for me personally, I look at it like this. Most fans didn't even want the merger. Because here's the thing, like, when I look at the characters that we have now and the actors who are playing them, I can't see them gelling in the MCU like as they are now. Now, obviously, if you reboot them, that would be dope. I would love to see Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, interacting with Tony Stark. Now, that would be hilarious. I would love that. Where I disagree with you guys is that I don't believe that many people were calling for this to happen for these reasons. Remember, Comcast was in the run to keep Fox separate. They were in the run. At one point, they outbid Disney for a good little minute. And then Comcast was like, and then Disney was like, nah, I'll drop $60 billion. You know what I'm saying? So they were like, they wanted, you have to keep in mind, Disney didn't want the Fox, just not for their X-Men Marvel characters, but, I look at, the Planet of the Apes run. All three movies, amazing. Some of their Alien movies, like the first one and maybe the latest one, are somewhat good movies, but we both know if it's in Disney's hands, it would be done perfectly. The Predator series, same way. They just had a Predator movie came out last year. Terrible film. But it's in Disney's hands now. So now that Disney can make the right film. The one thing I know about Disney, since they own Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, DreamWorks, they own all of this content, all of these divisions. They know how to tell stories. Kevin Feige said something very important, and this is what I want you guys to understand. He said something important. We don't hire people who want to get Oscars. We hire storytellers. There's a reason why the Russo brothers are doing what they're doing with the Avengers, because they knew how to tell a story. Keep in mind, before they ever did any Marvel movie, the last movie they did was a low-budget comedy that didn't hit that well. But Kevin Feige saw something within them that said, hey, you know what? These guys can tell a story. Let's give them Winter Soldier. Oh, they did great. Let's give them Civil War. Now let's give them Infinity War. Now we about to get Endgame. You know, so you have to understand that there's so much more than just the MCU. Now, if we're talking strictly just the MCU, would I love to see the X-Men interact with the Avengers? Yes, because I would love to see, you know, Galactus be the big bad for the next. Because honestly, I didn't see after Thanos. I'm like, yo, who's next? People kept saying like, you know, Adam Warlock, but I'm like, no, that's a Guardians villain. And you know, Tony Stark could take Adam. It doesn't take the whole squad to do that. So I'm like, who honestly, who could be next? And people said, oh, it will be Kang. I'm like, I could see that, but Kang's not really, you know, like, he's not really on the Marvel tip like that. So the next logical thought to plan another good 10 years, the next Endgame has to be Galactus. So I think, although it was a smart move for Disney to buy Fox, given the content that they had in regards to the MCU and the X-Men properties, Deadpool properties, and other properties, I feel as though not a lot of people were calling for this, man. And, like, keep in mind, like, you know, I personally, from a fan standpoint, I'd rather Marvel had X-Men. But for me, I'm like, you know, when they were promoting New Mutants, remember when that New Mutants trailer came out? And it came out, I wanted to see that movie. Now, there's a possibility it ain't coming out because, like you said, Fox didn't know what they were doing, which I agree with that point. I do agree with that point that some of the movies that they had lined up, like this whole X-Men Dark Phoenix movie, I really don't think they know what they're doing with this movie. I really think they literally just paid the actors and said, hey, go do this, we'll shoot it, yada, 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 edit it, and then we're going to change the release date. Like, I really think the people in this movie don't care from watching the trailers. Like, they really don't care. So, for me, I agree with the fact that in some of their properties, X-Men properties, they have dropped the ball. But when I look at X-Men 1, X-Men 2, especially X-Men 2, I'm like, yo, they were murdering kids, for Christ's sakes, in that movie. Like, that's like a bar that I haven't seen since, like, Infinity War. You had that, and then you had Deadpool, what Deadpool did in Deadpool 1 and 2. And then you had Logan. Logan went straight dark. Like, yo, like, these movies, in my opinion, were classics. If I had to switch it up, I would have Disney buy Fox, but let's keep some select characters. Not all of them, just some select ones. So, personally, I'm glad that Disney does own Fox to explore their Marvel characters. However, I do think, to a degree, when I look at the lineup that they did have that was good, I'm like, yo, like, you know, it kind of sat well with Fox to a degree. So, and I didn't really like Bryan Singer as a director, but I cannot act like he didn't direct some good films. He did direct some, but not a lot of them. So that's where I'm at with that merger.
One thing you said was the fans, we didn't call for it. But we have to recognize who actually called for it. Fox called for it. Fox was the one that said, hey, we want to sell this. We're tired of making crap. Basically, they said, we want to just focus on news and our sports division, and we want to sell our movies. So it was never a situation, and of course you could still look at it as the fans didn't want it. But at the end of the day, it was Fox that did want it. They wanted to make that move. They wanted to make that change. I look at it, both of you guys made points about how some of those movies just weren't good, and they weren't. But one thing about it is something had to be done at the end of the day, or they were just going to keep tanking and tanking and tanking and tanking to a point where we probably still would have reached the same where we are now. We probably still would have got to the point where they were trying to sell it. What was Comcast really going to do? You know what I'm saying? If they bought Fox these properties, nothing would have. You know,
I think.
Can somebody ask that for
me? I think if Comcast would have bought them, things would have stayed the same, if I'm being honest with you. Because Comcast is not a movie company. They're a phone company. You know?
Yeah, right.
They just provide us cable TV, and allow us to watch those same tired movies on FX if we have Comcast cable.
Right.
You know, so Comcast was really in a position of just being money hungry and not idea oriented. You know, they just would have. It just would have been. It's like buying up Boardwalk on Monopoly, and you have no plans of putting houses or hotels on it. You just didn't want anybody else to get it.
Right.
You know, you had no plans, no thought process, no anything, and that segues us to our next topic.
Before we segue, can I say something, please? I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I want to go back to the X-Men piece, and I know we got a little bit of and it's a good, healthy discussion about whether the fans want it or not. I think from my standpoint, I saw a lot of memes, a lot of people, post stuff on the internet and make jokes about the X-Men going home. And it was really, really big when the Fantastic Four movie came out, the one that Josh Trank did that didn't do well at all. Everybody was like sending home. But, right. But I want to point something out. I'm on Box Office Mojo, and I'm just looking at the U.S. gross for the X-Men movies. Now, I'm speaking X-Men, X2, X3, Wolverine, Origins, First Class, just the title, the movie that have X-Men in the title. And I can tell you wholeheartedly, outside, this is excluding Deadpool, you don't have a movie in that franchise that made over $235 million domestically. That is very, very bad. Now, some of these movies did very well overseas, so I'm excluding the worldwide portion. I'm just talking about us here in the U.S. Right now, you got Captain Marvel sitting at $330 here in the U.S. So while maybe the fans didn't necessarily copy out or sell it to Disney, the fans that voted with their money here in the U.S. and said, we ain't going to see this shit. X-Men Apocalypse made $155 the whole time it was in theaters here in the States. The budget on it was reported $175 million. So you have to look at this. Yeah. The first X-Men movie comes out in 2000, and you have to look, during this whole time all these X-Men movies came out, you had the Dark Knight trilogy that went over and did $1 billion. You had Iron Man that came out, Iron Man 2. So you have a lot of movies that came in and just left the X-Men in the dust. And my thing is, when I was watching these X-Men movies in 2000, my mind was blown. I'm like, wow, this is what this could be. This is great or whatever. And then you go and see what somebody else is doing with this stuff when they take it serious. Now, Deadpool and Logan, I think, are their best movies. And the story of Logan is one where they would not give those guys $150 million to make that movie. They made that movie for under $100 million, right? But they had to take $60 million off the budget to be able to make the movie that they wanted to do. See, that's the difference between Fox and Disney. Disney knows exactly you need to go spend that money to make this thing look good. Fox is saying, no, we can't spend that. And it's not because they hate Wolverine or hate the characters, because just like you talked about before, we got the Predator, we got the Alien movie, we got so much stuff over here we got to deal with that we can't give you $150 million to make this movie because we got to spread this money around. So I agree with you on that point, but I want to say that the box office for these movies is terrible. And I'm really focusing on the later ones, because the early box office, like the first X-Men doing $157 million, that was great. You know what I mean? So I want to put it in perspective. That was 2000, so that was great. So we can move on. I don't want to belabor the point, but yeah, it was time.
Yeah, it was time, because you should know time when, like Kevin said earlier, Galactus was a cloud of smoke. Yeah, that's time. Like, come on in the house. Come on in the house. It's getting dark. Hey, what?
So it's getting low, big guy.
There you go. Then you already knew I was going.
Yeah, I knew you were
Sun getting low. I'm getting low. But let's move on, guys. Next thing we're going to talk about is the New Mutants, and that's what Kevin and both Alex brought up. I don't even want to see this movie. One, I don't do horror movies, and two, I just feel like it's going to be trash. And while we're already talking about New Mutants, let's go ahead and throw Dark Phoenix in there as well, because I heard something else. I heard Dark Phoenix being said by both of you guys. I'm going to just drop my points on it real quick. Dark Phoenix is coming out. It's done already. But it looks like trash from the trailer. The trailer really gave away the whole movie, because that's just how bad it is. It was like, well, we're going to show you going to kill Mystique. We're going to show you this is going to happen the same exact way that it happened in X3, The Last Stand, which that movie, I did go back and watch X3 recently. And I didn't have any real complaints about it, but it just fell flat. I hadn't watched it in a while. And that might have been it. I hadn't watched it in a while, and I enjoyed watching it for what it was, not for what it should have been. But New Mutants shouldn't even come out. They should just go ahead and throw it on Disney Plus, or just throw it on Hulu or Netflix or something. I mean, The Gifted is better than New Mutants and Dark Phoenix. I had an older guy today, and this is something me and Kevin talk about all the time. You never know who is into this comic book stuff and movies and sci-fi stuff. I'm at work. I work for a cell phone company, and working on the phone, and I don't even know how the conversation got to it. But no, I mentioned the fact that I go to a lot of comic book conventions, and he perked up. He was like, "Oh, really? I watch a lot of those type of shows on TV." He said he just started rattling off plot points of the shows. Like, this is the older white male that I would not have thought was into this type of stuff. You never know who you run across and who you're talking to who's into this. And he talked about how much he liked The Gifted, how much he liked Cloak and Dagger, how he was ready for it to come back this week. So that goes to show you that people appreciate quality stuff. And the Dark Phoenix movie and the New Mutants movie does not look quality. First of all, both of these movies are 2 years behind. They got moved 3 or 4 times. It's like these movies were doing the cha-cha slide. Slide to the left. Slide to the left. Slide to the left, And you wonder, like, the DJ, is your CD bad or something, man? What's going on? And they just kept moving them and moving them and moving them. But I don't want it. I could care less. Now, am I going to go see it? Yes, because I'm a firm believer, and I know Kevin believes this, I know Alex believes this, in developing your own opinion. We live in such a culture where there's so much clickbait out, where people start to just go by what they read instead of what they put their own eyes and ears to. I despise that from the skin of my teeth, and teeth don't even have skin. But I'm going to let you hit this one first, Kevin. What you think?
This is one of those things where, looking at Dark Phoenix and New Mutants and everything that's going along with it, it sounds terrible. It sounds like it's a mess. So let's talk about New Mutants real quick. Maisie Williams, the girl from Maisie Williams, the girl from Game of Thrones, which I love her as an actor. She came out and said they're supposed to be doing reshoots to make it scarier, and the reshoots haven't happened yet. And I know that on Alex's show, he had mentioned, and he saw the reports like I did, that we're going to be watching this thing on the streaming service at some point. Maybe Hulu, maybe Disney Plus. I know that that's a possibility. And then you switch over to Dark Phoenix, and you have Alexandra Shipp making her comments today, and everything that's kind of going on with it, which is it's just completely crazy. But when you look at everything that's going on with this right here, to me, this just seems like, hey, look, we were making these things, and then we realized that this merger was going through. And one thing that I just found out today that came out was the director from Dark Phoenix or whatnot, Simon Kinberg, came out and said the reason why the marketing has been so crazy for it is because all the marketing folks that usually do this stuff over at Fox don't work there anymore. Those guys either got new jobs or accepted positions with Disney, but they're not in the room anymore. So this movie is throwaway, and these two movies are both throwaway, and they're in limbo because it's exactly what Alex said earlier. Kevin Feige is probably going to recast these folks. And there's no probably in it, because I wouldn't move forward with any of these people as my X-Men folks. And they're gonna go and redo this, and they have to, because if you don't recast them, you take on the problems of their universe and you bring it to the MCU. If
let me say something about that real quick. According to Alexander Shipp, ain't nobody getting no recasting. Just because the mergers happen, recasting ain't gonna happen. Alexander Shipp said it. She's in this movie. She said,
yeah, she also played Aaliyah in the Lifetime movie, so I'm straight. But I'm straight. I'm straight on what she's talking about. But you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I just want to say that, hey, look, man, these movies got caught up in limbo, and this merger happened, and they're gonna come out. Nobody's gonna really care, and we're gonna move on. That's just what I think is gonna happen.
Okay, because I'm sure we're gonna jump on Dark Phoenix in a little bit. So let me address this lady's comments first, Miss Alexandria.
We on both of them. We'll talk about both of them. So if you want to jump to either one, we're on both of them.
Okay, so I'm going to address both of them. But first, let me address this young lady's comments. First of all, if anybody who's listening to this episode of Fandom Talk, I want you guys to hear me clearly, okay? There is no actor in the world that I know of, at least, except for if you're maybe Steven Spielberg. No, you're not. I mean, he's not an actor. I mean, like Ben Affleck or maybe Matthew McConaughey. But aside from them and maybe some others, there's no actor in the world, especially a young actor, deciding whether they're going to get recast in a movie or not. What she doesn't realize is that these are big people owning a major property that she has nothing to do with, really. She doesn't own the rights to, does have any say in it at all. All she does is read the script, act the script, get paid, and go home. That's it. So if anybody believed anything that she said, I'm sorry, you need some prayer, because they're going to recast her, and I'm sure everybody else. Keep in mind, like, I think she plays Storm. I'm sure Black Panther and Storm are going to get together, and this ain't going to be an R. Kelly version of the older Black Panther dating a young Black Storm. This ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. They're going to recast her and make maybe an older Storm, and if they do the Black Panther / Storm run, clearly Storm is going to be very old. Well, not very old, but old enough where they're, Black Panther and Storm are together. So that's my take on her comments. Now, as far as the New Mutants movie, I said when they decided to do reshoots that this movie should die. I did like the trailer, I'm not going to lie, but I felt like this movie was out of place for two reasons. Most people who know first reason, most people who know the X-Men know the X-Men as these teen characters who have these powers, who really don't know how to use them, who go on these crazy, action-packed adventures. This is a horror movie. Granted, the first trailer for me was appealing, but I said, I don't know how this is going to work amongst fans. I don't know how it's going to work. You're telling, to me, it was like when I seen the trailer, I don't even know if the trailer even still on YouTube anymore, but the trailer was basically showing us like paranormal activity with Get Out and a whole bunch of other movies rolled into one with these kids who supposedly have powers that we didn't really see them use in the trailer. So for me personally, I thought it was interesting from a horror aspect, but from a comic book aspect, I said this movie should die, period. Like, I was like, this should be a fan film that's put on YouTube or Vimeo, or since Disney now owns Fox, which means they own a portion of Hulu now, maybe this will go on the Hulu. This, to me personally, this movie ain't even good enough to go on Hulu. Like I said, it should be either a fan film or a Vimeo short or something, because it just, anybody who's ever read New Mutants knows that they are not these oddball characters who are going through demonic things. That's not them. If anything, the New Mutants are the new version of the Justice League, i.e. New Mutants. So that's where I'm at with that film. As far as, the cast coming out saying, hey, when are the reshoots going to start? If the actor has to go on public media, whether it's internet, TV, radio, whatever, and have to ask when are the reshoots are going to be starting, that can tell you that this movie is dead in the water. And like Kevin said, there was a report that, keep in mind, when Disney bought Fox, they immediately terminated a lot of people. Immediately. That doesn't mean that they weren't paid severances. So I'm sure they got terminated very happy and still having a good, consistent check. But keep in mind, there were people who were terminated immediately. And like Kevin said, there were people in that marketing division either got new jobs or went to a different division within Disney. So that could be, that should tell you that this movie probably is never going to happen. If it does happen, we're probably not going to see it anytime soon. So for me personally, is a New Mutants movie needed for the fans? Probably not. I don't think so. Now, to address the Dark Phoenix comments, the Dark Phoenix thing, like I addressed earlier, personally, from every trailer that I've seen, let me just say this, because it just came to my mind. Remember when the first trailer came out, and it said, like, I believe it said, like, February 25th? The very next day, they changed the release date for next year. The very next day. And then the director of the movie says, oh, the reason why we changed it is because we wanted to work on the more special effects. Then why put out a trailer with the release date? Then why put a trailer with the release date of 2018? It's now 2019, and 2019 rolls around, and we get all of this press for Dark Phoenix. And don't get me wrong, if anyone who's ever read Dark Phoenix, go comic book. What I'm seeing from this movie is not good. Like, they're showing too much. Kind of like how Batman vs. Superman showed us too much. A lot of the reason why Batman vs. Superman is so bad is not only because of how it was directed and how the story was told, but literally, if you put together the first trailer of Batman vs. Superman and the last trailer with the Batman vs. Superman, and then you fill in the middle trailer with all the TV spots, there's your movie right there within 10 minutes. You do the same thing with this movie, there's your movie right there within 10 minutes. I can tell you how this movie's going to end, and it won't be much of a spoiler to me or to anybody who's been paying attention very closely. So personally, this movie for me, I think that since I've already done the marketing for it, and according to reports, they've already finished the movie. So it like people at Disney and other media pundits have seen the movie. So, you know, they've seen the movie and they've said some things about it. You know, I just listened to John Campea about a few days ago talking about this movie. He said, you know, some of his closest friends have seen the movie and listen, it's atrocious, according to them. Like, it's literally all over the place. When I think of this movie, I think of the Suicide Squad movie. I think of nothing but a lot of craziness that shouldn't be there. So personally, Dark Phoenix, I put it to like this. This is where studios have to understand their properties. They have to understand their properties and their characters. You cannot make crap and think people are going to be okay with it. You cannot. I said, you know, when they were promoting and doing a Venom movie, I said, listen, I don't know how this is going to go because I think it's going to be crap. When the movie came out, apparently it did so well, got greenlit for a second one. I didn't really like the movie that much. It wasn't crap, but it wasn't all that great either. So I'm just like, okay, Fox, like, I really have this belief that Fox, to a degree, just did not care. Like, watch the trailer. These people who are acting in the trailer, it's kind of like how we're talking now. They really don't care. Like, it's not believable. It's not believable. I like when people are being scared that Jean is attacking them. I don't really believe that they're scared. That's how unbelievable this movie seems to me. You know, and my wife is like, babe, you know, I'm an X-Men fan. I really got to go see it. I'm like, okay, you can go by yourself. Because I ain't going. Like, I'm not going. So, but you know, for me, I just think that Disney, you know, they have to release the movie given the press for it. It's already done. I look at it like this. And same for New Mutants as well. If they don't put out this movie, I have a feeling they're going to receive a significant loss, maybe a good $50 to $100 million. And, you know, if I'm one of the execs of Disney, or if I'm Bob Iger at Disney, losing $100 million, that means somebody or a group of people are getting fired if I'm one of them. That's just me. And, like, my last final point, to Kevin's point about the X-Men movies not doing so well, this kind of ties in back to this. Anytime a movie doesn't do well domestically, not worldwide, but domestically, you can bet that maybe 50 to 100 employees at that studio got fired. You have to understand that when a movie doesn't do bad, when a movie does bad, it's somebody's job that's on the line. So I'm sure Disney has to do what they have to do to cut their losses before they terminate more people. So that's where I'm at with that.
I got a place where these movies can go. Crackle. Just throw them on Crackle. But definitely, both you guys' points were awesome. Before we move forward, I'm just going to plug myself. You guys don't know me. My name is Malcolm, and you're listening to Fandom Talk from Fandoms Anonymous. We have grown so much in the last couple of years. We've come a long way from that first conversation, December 28th, 2016. I had with my man Kevin Garth on the phone about what I was planning to do, where I was going to go with this, and where we have come with this. The support that you guys continue to give is outstanding, and it is very, very, very appreciated. We're just here to make sure we give you guys quality, consistent quality content all the time. And just make sure you follow us all over social media, whether it be here on YouTube, on Facebook, and definitely on Instagram. We've really been bumping it up on Instagram a lot lately. So we got new stuff coming up. We're going to a lot more conventions this year in different places and locations. So we're going to have a good time this year. We really are. We really, really are. Now, one of the big things that we're going to end this on is, you guys know what's coming. Tomorrow is the first day of April, and we're going to be counting down the days until Avengers Endgame. And I want to talk to you guys about their theories for Avengers Endgame. For me, I really have not been theorizing on this movie. I want to go into this movie. Like, I haven't been clicking on none of the, spoiler things or set photos, because I really want to go to this movie with a large expectation and know it's going to deliver. I will be going to this movie by myself because my wife has already said that she will not go because it is 3 hours long. I think I kind of scarred her earlier this year when we went to see Aquaman and Bumblebee in the same day. So I think she's a little afraid of movies. I do have to take her to see Us, though, because she wants to go see that. But I'll be going to Avengers Endgame. You guys know we're going to do a review on it. We're going to have a good time. But so I really don't have any theories. I just want to see what's going to happen. That's where my mind is. I want to know and see what's going to happen, and I want to be able to breathe it in and watch it as it goes without any prior spoilers or hints or anything like that. I'm not even looking at the pictures of the Lego figures, because those are big spoilers. But I'm going to let my man Alex go first. Man, tell me what you're thinking about Avengers Endgame.
Okay, so my comments are going to be kind of twofold. So, like Malcolm, I haven't watched any explainer videos. I've actually strayed away from trailer reactions. I've strayed away from, people who like screenshot little things that they see and from the different trailers. Like, I strayed away from essentially everything that could potentially tell me more about this movie. I've said on I've been very loud on Facebook, very loud on Instagram and Twitter. Listen, I'm just ready to buy my tickets. Like, I put money aside, like, all jokes aside. I put money aside. So when April 2nd gets here, by the way, this is an exclusive right here on Fandom Talk. April 2nd is when they will release the tickets for Avengers Endgame, according to reports and a recent source that I just interviewed. Okay? Personally, I cannot wait. So I've strayed away from all of the fandom talk and all the other fandom BS that's going on amongst YouTube and other creators that are basically theorizing this movie. Now, here are my predictions of what I think about this movie. I've said, me and Malcolm have had this conversation multiple times. I've had this conversation with others as well. Virtually in the trailers, they ultimately have showed us nothing that we haven't seen before. I said, people are going to go see this movie even if they didn't market this movie with trailers. Like, if every trailer was 30 seconds, where we just saw, like, an image of Tony Stark, everybody was still going to see this movie. And I say that to say this, because Infinity War was the best marketing tool for Endgame. Like, I firmly believe that if there were no marketing for this movie, all they would have to do is just show us the marketing stuff from Infinity War of how we saw our heroes die. And essentially that's what they did. And everybody is pumped up to see this movie. Now, my theory is for this film is that all the trailers that we've seen, TV spot features, they're all lies. All of it is lies. The only two things that I believe from these trailers is Tony Stark actually being stuck and them walking around in those white and red suits. But every scene that we've seen is a lie, and I'm going to tell you why it's a lie. Because we saw multiple scenes in Infinity War that was a lie, i.e., the group of Avengers running in Wakanda. That never happened. We also saw Thanos fighting the Avengers with only 2 Infinity Stones, alluding to the fact that maybe we wouldn't see the snap in Infinity War, but we all know how that ended. We did see the snap, and he had all of the stones. I firmly believe that every freaking scene that we have seen with Captain America tightening his shield, that's not in the movie. I firmly believe that, Captain America talking to, what's her name, Agent Romanoff, Black Widow, I firmly believe that's not in the movie like it's being shown. There's a couple things that I do believe, like Ant-Man standing outside of the Avengers saying, hey, let me in. And we see Ant-Man for the first time, like, walking around seeing all the missing signs, posters. I do believe that those certain things we'll see in the film. But for what we have seen from these trailers, it's all a lie, guys. It's not real. I don't believe it. Russo said that they would only show us 15 minutes of the film at best in trailers. And I am telling you here on Fandom Talk, they'll probably release a new trailer showing us more footage on April 2nd. And then at the end of that trailer, it's going to say, you can buy your tickets now. According to the person that I just interviewed, that he has some sources saying that, listen, this is a done deal. This is going to happen. Which I believe them that we will see tickets sold. As far as the trailer, I don't know. But I will say this. As my other prediction, I'm seeing a lot of people also speculate that Shuri and a couple other people are still alive. But let's talk about Shuri for a second. And me and Malcolm have had this conversation before about a couple days ago. And, people are saying that they don't believe that Shuri is dead. Yo, Shuri's gone, guys. She's gone. She's gone. The reason why I say she's gone and would confirm this for me is not necessarily the poster where it says Avenge the Fallen. It's the fact that I saw something on Twitter where somebody tweeted the actor who plays Shuri, and in a nutshell she said, but she took it down. In a nutshell, the girl who tweeted, the actor who plays Shuri, she said, are you really dead in Avengers Endgame? And she said, a little bit, for a little bit I am. And then she deleted the tweet. So, personally, I think she's gone, guys. Like, she's gone. Unless, obviously, with movies, someone who's actually done movies, you shoot a lot of extra scenes that you can put in to make the narrative your own narrative. So there's a lot of things that they can change. Keep in mind, they shot this movie literally 2 years ago. So this movie was already done by the time, almost done by the time Infinity War came out. So Russo brothers knew what they wanted to do with this movie. So I think Shuri's gone, guys. I don't think she's coming back until we figure out how to bring our heroes back. Another theory that I've seen floating around online that, Falcon or Bucky is going to take on the mantle of Captain America, which is believable because it does happen in the comic books, but I don't really think that that's going to happen. The reason why I say I don't think that's going to happen is because two things. Captain America may die or he may retire. I don't think that Bucky or Falcon are just going to say, you know what, I'm going to be the new Captain America. No, I don't. I just think he's going to be Bucky, and I also think he's going to be Falcon. Keep in mind, they even said they're doing a Bucky and Falcon TV series. So I think that kind of alleviates the fact that they're going to be one of them, if not both of them, are going to be Captain America. And the last theory that I had, or prediction that I have for this movie, how are we going to basically reverse the snap? People are saying time travel. People are saying the quantum realm. People are saying, they're going to Tony's going to fix the gauntlet and re-snap. Here's my theory of how we're going to get back. I really think the quantum realm is the key, because those suits that the Avengers are wearing in the comic books, they were made for the quantum realm. Now, in the quantum realm, you can go back into time. People are saying that when Thanos hit the snap, all the people who have vanished are actually in the quantum realm, because outside of the universe and space, where else could those bodies go? aside from them, they didn't all die and go to heaven. Like, we can't even establish if heaven or hell are real in this universe. But for the sake of the argument, let's just say that they are real. You know, personally, if they did die, obviously they'll be in one or two places, heaven or hell or in the quantum realm. I personally think they're stuck in the quantum realm somewhere, and there isn't any time travel involved. They have to go to a certain pocket universe to find them, grab them, and bring them all back for a final battle. So I'm super excited for this movie. I can't wait to buy this movie. I set my reminder for my tickets on Fandango and on AMC. So I'm ready. And you know, those are my theories for this particular movie.
They could be in Walmart too. They're stuck in the food section. You never know where they're at. Yeah. My man Kevin, what about you, man?
Well, you know, I agree that they didn't have to put out a trailer for this movie at all. Like you said, the best trailer they had was the previous movie. But then again, you know, they did put stuff out, and I think there are a lot of misdirects in the trailers that they put out. The only thing I'm thinking that the quantum realm may definitely come into play at some point in this film. I'm thinking the souls could be inside the soul world, inside the soul stone, if they choose to follow the thread from the comic books. That is his own place. That's where Adam Warlock and Pip the Troll and several other people tend to hang out. So there's a universe in there. And after Thanos acquired the Soul Stone and he went back and talked to, you know, Baby Gamora or whatnot, that could have been that place. I don't know for certain that's where he was. But either way, I think the fact that the people on those planets turned to ash and did not just drop dead lets us know that they are somewhere, whether that's Quantum Realm, Soul World, Heaven, Hell, Walmart, the DMV, don't really matter, right? All those souls went somewhere. And I think that whatever our heroes are doing, and I know this kind of goes without saying, is going to be to undo whatever he did. Now, whether that's going to Nita Valir, grabbing the other gauntlet or another gauntlet or whatever, or that's Tony Stark doing something, or that's this or that's that, I think the highway to which they get to that destination would be the quantum realm. But either way, one thing that I've kind of resigned myself to doing is not going in there expecting a lot. So I'm going to hit on this real quick. A lot of people are putting out these videos and trying to tie in everybody into this movie. I just don't think that's what this is. I think this is the heroes that we know and love wrapping up the first 10 years of the MCU. I think Captain Marvel is your big addition to the team this year. And I think we're going to see the heroes that we know and love. Like, I'm not expecting to see Silver Surfer and Galactus in this movie. You know, I'm expecting to see maybe one or two Marvel cosmic entities. Maybe we get, Eternity, or maybe we get the Living Tribunal or somebody like that. But I'm not expecting this thing to go completely cosmic and have an audience that's been following these movies for all these years who know absolutely nothing about all these big characters to come into play. I think we'll have a nice, fun, enjoyable, action-packed movie. But I just don't think all these crazy theory videos about how Wolverine's going to be there, like, stop it. Just stop it. We're not doing all that. I am completely 100% okay with any celestial being or anybody they want to bring in, but I've been reading comic books for over 30 years. I know who they are. I'm just thinking about kids like my son and other folks who just know the movies, right? And you start dropping these folks in there without an explanation, and it starts to get a little bit bigger than I think they may want it to be. So that's kind of where I'm keeping my expectations. Now, if they do pull that stuff off and drop some of these folks in the movie, I'm happy with it. But I'm just thinking about what they've done so far. And again, those trailers, huge misdirect. I mean, you can look at the trailer breakdowns. They're even changing the coloring in some of the trailers. So as it comes along, we're going to have scenes that just aren't in the movie. So I'm happy about it. Infinity War is my favorite comic book movie of all time, as with most people. And it is for various reasons, but I'm just hoping they continue that thread, and let's wrap this thing up and see what they got for us next.
Most definitely, man. It's going to be an event within itself. I know I'm excited. I really am. But Guys, we're going to wrap this thing up. We have thoroughly enjoyed you guys on the return of Fandom Talk. Look forward to seeing us more with this show. We're going to have an amazing time. This is going to branch off into something great. Greatness is coming with what we're doing here. Before we go, I'm going to let the guys flood themselves. Kevin, where can everybody find you?
Hey, you can find me at Kevin Garlington on Facebook or at Hubster Picks on IG and Hubster Picks on Facebook.
All right, man. Alex, what's up, man?
You guys can find me on Momentum Media on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram at Mr. Alex Hampton. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Alex Hampton. And you can also find my Momentum Media Facebook page at facebook.com/Momentum Media.
And guys, you know who we are. We're FANDOMSANONYMOUS. We're all over social media. Right here on YouTube where you're watching this. Also on Facebook where this is being broadcasted. And pretty soon, we're coming to SoundCloud. You just wait on that. We're coming, baby. We're coming. And we're also on Instagram as well. We're having a good time here. I hope you guys enjoyed. And as I always say, we'll see you guys in another video.